All right, it's Sunday. Didn't expect to do this today. But here we are. All right, let's go. 3, 2, 1. Yo, what's going on? Arkansas Razorback fans. I'm going to be real, did not expect anything today. Kind of thought that this sort of announcement wouldn't happen until, I don't know, till after probably Missouri. You kind of understand it, I guess, in terms of why they got the announcement out when they did. Kind of thought I was going to relax, have, do some notes for the Monday show, watch a little, I don't know, Terminator 2, or I don't know, man, maybe Lord of the Rings, the director's cut, Fellowship of the Ring. I don't know. I'm a nerd. I was going to nerd out today. Instead, we're going to have to sit here, which I love doing, by the way. I like doing, you guys know I like doing this. I like talking with you guys, having this discussion. Yeah. So, welcome. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. Ads should be at the end of the show. So for those of you who we've run into that issue, YouTube has kind of changed some of their stuff around. So you got to be careful. They're trying to be super sneaky, but I caught on to them. So the settings should be that we don't get any ads till the end. All right, yeah. Like, share, subscribe. Shout out to Patreon supporters. If you guys want to continue to support a small independent YouTube channel that covers your Razorbacks, a local guy, a local business, a local LLC, hey, man, Patreon goes a long ways. Or Super Chat. Absolutely. Shout out, of course, to the Patreon supporters. Direct Service Overhead, the garage door company, who sponsors this show and the first sponsor and still here. That's awesome. They offer same-day services, quality parts, affordable outcomes. Right now you could save. They've got a winter savings deal going on. Save 10% off any garage door repair. They've got you set up, man. Free estimates, better than best results. Give them a call today, 501-244-3667. Link is provided for you down below. They operate in Central and Northwest Arkansas. And, of course, the Odd Soul Craft Bar Pizzaria. Fantastic pies. Great stuff on tap. Great environment to watch a ball game or just to hang out with your friends. Whatever you want to do, the Odd Soul is a great place to do it. Yeah. Not Dixon Street. I was texting someone about Dixon Street. Emma Street in South Springdale. Emma Street. So, yeah. Sounds like Dixon Street might have been a little wild last night. I was having a conversation. I got a couple texts today. If there's anything, well, we'll get to that later. But, yeah. So, check out both those links provided for you down below. All right. Hunter Yurchak posted a statement today. It was being reported everywhere. So Hunter apparently had a discussion. A lot of people not real thrilled about that. Of course, we know that last night before the game, we had the announcers announcing that they had a discussion with Sam, that Sam had a discussion with Hunter Yurchak for 2 hours last Sunday, that he was going to keep his job. And then, of course, the rumors were flying around throughout the week. And then, of course, yesterday, after that comment, Twitter was kind of all over it, as was our Discord. And then this morning, you wake up and you're getting a lot of people. The people that, like Richard Davenport posted. When Richard Davenport posts something like that, I'm going to pay attention. And that's what really kind of turned my head, was when Richard, that was like the second person I saw post something about that. And then Hunter Yurchak at 12:42, so literally less than an hour ago, he posts on Twitter, "Our team was extremely excited last night after the game when I informed them that Coach Pittman is our head coach and will be moving forward into the 2024 season. This has not been the season any of us anticipated. We have work to do. I am confident that together we can meet the goals and expectations of our program. I want to thank the many Razorback fans who have supported our team this season. I look forward to honoring our seniors and cheering this team on Friday as we take on Missouri." Again, that's from the desk of Hunter Yurchak. That's from his own Twitter. How is he not verified on Twitter? 95,000 followers. Hunter, how are you not verified? Just pay for the blue check mark, man. All right. I know plenty of people not real thrilled by this, but then again, I think a lot of people not very surprised. Not even a good OC hire. We just had a decent O-line. We'd have 8+ wins. So Taylor says this is all on the offensive line. I think there's some truth that the offensive line was abysmal this year, and it just speaks to just what the hell is going on. In 4 years, how did your offensive line regress this much? I don't have any explanations. I have no answers for that. Never would have thought things would get this ugly on the line of scrimmage. Again, we saw some issues last year. We saw some issues with the offensive line play, but mostly it was disguised, right, with the veer and shoot, with the high tempo, and they obviously respond better up until maybe Auburn. They respond better when they run with a little bit of when they're faster. Tony Brown says the coaching pool is already infinitely smaller than last year's pool. It's going to be deep every year, though, Tony. It's going to be deep every single year. There is a realistic take that this football program, that they are not serious about taking the necessary steps to move forward. That is the fan take. Now, you could say whatever you want about that. After all, and I'll repeat this, it's the fans that buy the merch, it's the fans that buy the tickets, and I think overwhelmingly, whether it's talking to you guys here, whether it's talking to people Discord, out and about, whatever, family members, that Sam Pittman, there's no faith in Sam Pittman that he can get this thing turned around. There is the other side of the aisle that believes, hey, look at what he did on defense. They did get things turned around, at least for most of the season, up until the last 3 games, I would argue, or at least the last couple for sure. Or when you look at Florida's ease, on the ground. Although I'll fully admit, like, you watch how well they played against Missouri. Maybe I don't know what to make of that team. They're gonna end up being one of the best non-bowl eligible teams, I guess, at least in the SEC. There's just not a lot of faith. There's not a lot of faith that Sam can turn this thing around, and that's the concern, right? Moving forward is do you clean house on the offensive side of the ball? Do you just completely – it doesn't matter. Jimmy Smith, Turner, Kenny Guyton, like, do you just clean house? I mean, because that's essentially what they did last year outside of Deke Adams, and we did see better defensive play. I mean, I think the defense was better 75% of the season compared to Barry Odom the last 2 years for sure. I think that there is some truth in that Sam did make some good hires. I thought, again, talking about the defensive side of the ball, he retained Deke Adams. I think we can all agree that was a good hire. I don't know that anybody, I've got people in my comment section telling me that Barry Odom was a better defensive coordinator. And the point that I was making last night was that nobody would trade Barry Odom as a defensive coordinator for Travis Williams. Nobody would make that trade. Travis Williams, I think a lot of people will agree, despite the issues they've had lately, nobody would argue that you should make that trade. Travis Williams is the right move, at least for this season, most of the year. We'll see if he can do that again next year. Maybe you keep Jimmy Smith on the offensive side of the ball. I don't know. But, again, you look at the defense, Darren Wilson, who coaches the secondary, I think has done a really good job. You guys know how I feel about Marcus Woodson, the co-defensive coordinator who helped with the secondary this year. I love the way that guy, watching him at practice, he's very, very in the face of those guys, not bringing them down, not, griping them out, but just actively coaching these guys. Even when they do well, I see him walk side by side with whatever DB, and he's explaining things. I was there last fall camp, okay, or last season. I'm not saying the defense wasn't intense. I'm not saying that staff wasn't intense, because they certainly had their moments. But I saw these group of guys on defense trying to actively coach everything they were doing. Not quite Musselman level, right? Not quite Bobby Petrino level, but they were actively coaching these guys in a way that I didn't see a lot or not near as much last season. I like what they're doing on the defensive side of the ball. Again, we'll see if they can continue that trend next year. I don't know. I think they can. I think it's possible. So maybe you have that faith in Sam that he could do that on the offensive side of the ball. I like what Morgan Turner. I like what Morgan Turner's done with the tight ends. It seems like, Luke Haas goes down. Well, Ty Washington stepped up. He wasn't targeted near enough, but that's not Turner's fault. I mean, I think Turner's done a pretty decent job. Now, we could talk about blocking. There were times this year when the tight ends weren't blocking well, and that's something that Sam Pittman will probably consider going into the offseason. Maybe I need to wipe out everybody, and that includes Turner and Jimmy Smith, who's also your associate head coach. I for recruiting purposes, I have a hard time seeing them let go Jimmy Smith. You can make the argument that, same with Turner, you got to keep that room intact because there is some promise in that tight end room. There is some legit promise in the tight end room. So maybe you keep those two. I don't know. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. Big Hog says Sam has no fire or dog in him, just a good old boy. John Hawes. Now this is what you're concerned about right here. What I haven't proofread this whole thing, but Hawes says, "Well, I ain't really hyped for next year at this point. Got to be a stellar rebuilding of the offensive staff, top to bottom." Listen. They reported 61,000. Some people are telling me, well, that was tickets scanned and whatever, or that was tickets sold. I don't know what the truth is. It certainly did not look like 61,000 to me. I would have guessed 40. But I don't know. I don't buy it. I don't buy 61,000. But maybe that's what it was. And if it was, tip of the cap to those people that showed up. And tip of the cap to anybody who went to the game. Hopefully you had a good time. You got to watch Arkansas frog stomp somebody, at least certainly in the second quarter and on. You got to watch them finally. I mean, I hate to say it, kind of look the part, but you got to consider who they play. But I'm glad you got that opportunity. I really am. And I hope they can do that again on Friday. Maybe they could surprise us on Friday and do something unbelievable and make it a close game and maybe beat Missouri. I wasn't, not that I got to watch a lot of that. I haven't had a chance to actually rewatch that Missouri-Florida game, which I want to do sometime today. Maybe here in the next couple of hours I might go back and rewatch that. Maybe Missouri is slightly fraudulent. I mean, Florida's not a good football team. I mean, they're not. If Arkansas could beat you in your own place, are you a good team? No, you're not a good football team. But Missouri struggled with Florida with what I saw. In fact, that was Florida's game to lose there in the final minutes. So anything could happen on Friday, especially in Fayetteville. I think you will have a somewhat bigger crowd. I'm pretty sure they're going to host some recruits. I'm not 110%. Yeah, they're going to host recruits. KJ had gums open in the overthrew him like he does 75% of the time, says Bot Magna. I wouldn't say 75% of the time, but he does overthrow. He's had that kind of year where he's overthrown a lot of people. We played better on the road than we did at home this season. We also didn't have a rush over 500. How the offensive line slips this much, how you've embarrassed. I mean, there's not a lot of pride in this program right now. There's not a lot of excitement. And, yeah, that's natural when you're losing games. But I would argue at the beginning of the year, even when you started off undefeated, I don't think anybody – and I'm using that sarcastically, by the way nobody was really that pumped about the Enos hire. No one really was. I've talked to a lot of people about that. It felt like a good old boy hire. It felt like hey, he's my pal. Come, I've worked with you before. Come be my offensive coordinator. And he said to the media, I thought he was a damn good offensive coordinator. I thought he was a good guy, or the right guy for the job. Clearly he wasn't. I mean, that's the most obvious thing that we can all agree on. Got to rebuild the O-line through the portal. Steve-O, that is exactly it. That is exactly it. Folks are talking about spending NIL to attract talent, but Arkansas may have to spend NIL money to keep some talent. You talk about the tight end room. We saw a certain running back last night, Augusta out of Florida, out of Naples. You're going to have to probably spend some money to keep these guys. You look at the defensive side of the ball, there are certainly some players over there I'd like to keep. Jackson's gone. I mean, he's going to go. He's a possible first-round draft pick. But there are some guys on that defensive side of the ball that I want to return for next year. I don't want to see them transfer. And now this defensive staff has a year under their belt. Hopefully you could keep those guys. For an offensive coordinator, your quarterback room and what you have there should dictate the type of hire you make for the offensive coordinator job. Sam didn't do that by hiring Dan Enos, and the football program paid the price. Hire someone, I don't care if it's as close to the veer and shoot or if it's I'm not going to say bringing Kendall Briles back, but almost anything short of that, no bueno. Go find a coordinator, because your quarterback room, not just KJ, I'm not even going to touch the KJ returning. I'm not even touching that right now. I don't know. I need time to think on that one. I did not like the way he played this year. This was not a good year for KJ, but we have seen KJ in the right offense and in an offensive scheme that he could buy into, Kendall Briles hit the right buttons on that guy and turned him into a hell of a player. This year, it was just the opposite. We never got that KJ back. I don't know that we ever see that version of KJ again or not. Nothing's impossible. But you look behind KJ, you've got to find a coordinator. All these guys have something in common, and that's that they could probably operate the RPO quite efficiently, that they could probably respond better to up-tempo type of offensive play. That wasn't Dan Enos. Enos was not a heavy RPO guy. It was much more of a pro-style offense, and I'm kind of shocked now that they didn't have more decommitments, especially 7-8 games into the season. I'm shocked by that. They lost the wide receiver, but I'm shocked they haven't had more players. I'm shocked they didn't have guys that just completely let go of the rope. I mean, you know what I mean? Like some of the guys that weren't getting their time on the field. I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't have a mass exodus sooner. They still might. I don't know. The portal's going to open up here shortly. It opens up the first week of December, and then it goes all the way until it's a big window. I think it's like January is when it closes. Too big of a window. I'm sorry, too big of a damn window. But anyways, they didn't do that when they hired Enos. They didn't hire a guy that matched what you had in the quarterback room, and it puzzles the mind. I mean, it's even more now. Hindsight is 20/20, but the more you think about it, you need to have guys that you need to hire a coordinator that's going to match the players and the type of athleticism that they have to offer and what they can do. Now, it's not to say that they can only operate out of the RPO. Hell, I don't know. I mean, maybe Criswell could operate the air raid offense. I don't know. But what I do know is that these guys are all prolific runners. They're all known as pretty good dual threat guys out of what even is a dual threat anymore? If they're dual threat, they're running RPO. So these were guys that were all RPO players out of high school. And I think that's very clear that that's what they should have done, and they went the opposite direction when they hired Enos. Go to the portal and concentrate your NIL firepower, assuming you have any, with the offensive line. If you're going to wipe everything clean, that might mean beyond the staff. That might mean you ask some of these guys. You might ask some of these guys to go ahead and hit the portal. It wouldn't surprise me that when that thing opens up, you see several Arkansas Razorback offensive linemen in the portal. And maybe that's because the staff is asking them to do so. But you have to have confidence, and you've got to have some NIL spending power to go after some guys, to go after some linemen in the portal. I don't know what else you do. And I know Sam is a loyal guy. That's just kind of the reputation that he has, but loyalty doesn't always get you wins. And that's kind of been, I think that's been one of the issues. And again, I kind of have it noted here. Do you clean house on the offense? They mostly did on defense with the exception of Deke Adams. So maybe you keep Morgan Turner and Jimmy Smith, maybe. So we already kind of touched on that. But there's so many questions. There's so many spots they're going to have to fill. You know, Pittman said last night in his post game that this sort of talk kills recruiting. Sam, I would argue losing games kills recruiting. And that's exactly what's happened this year. So to put that on the media is interesting. The media is only reporting what's happening. The media is only reporting. Now, are there people that are saying that, well, Sam is fired? Yeah, you got a bunch of folks out there that are certainly making that claim that is 100% what happened. And they were clearly wrong. But again, losing games is what causes decommitments. You know, you think that when they read the headlines that doesn't have some kind of impact on a player? Sure. But I think what has an even bigger impact is the fact that the team that they're committed to, or the team that's recruiting them, is looking at a 4-8 season. I think that has a far bigger impact on a lot of guys. Sure, some of them are going to be, you know, and again, Sam talked about this, the recruiting tactic now is we need you to come help us turn this thing around. And there's truth in that. I think there are maybe some guys that they have currently committed that could have some kind of an impact. But make no mistake about it, the transfer portal is where you're going to have the biggest impact this offseason, and what coaching hires that you have. And it may not matter who the hell you bring in as coaches if you don't get it right up front on the line of scrimmage. If you don't keep some of the star power that you do have on the offensive side of the ball, it may not matter. So that's where they have to begin this thing. This is where it has to start. I'm going to read your comments here in just a minute. Make sure if you really want your comment read, Super Chat is up and running. If you want to throw a buck or two into the Super Chat, I will read those comments. Again, a lot of questions, a lot of things that it's just so unfortunate that this year happened the way that it did. You also have folks saying that it's not as bad as we all think that it is. Look at how many close losses they have. Yeah, but then Auburn happened, right? Mississippi State happened, and Missouri is about to happen, possibly. So I don't know what the defense is for keeping him other than the who you going to get crowd. And that's always going to be the case. I can't believe I've got mods in chat saying this. I can't believe it. I'm looking at you, long shot. You're going to have that conversation every year. A&M and Mississippi State's open this year in the conference. Well, what's going to happen to Florida next year? The talk is Napier's going to keep his job, but it's going to be on next year. You're going to have Florida to deal with. Who knows what happens with trigger-happy LSU? Who knows what happens with Tennessee, who those fans think they ought to be 11-1 every year? They're really disappointed. Look at the kind of year they had. By the way, you play them next year. We're going to talk about that schedule, too, here in just a second. You're always going to have that conversation. Now you got Oklahoma and Texas coming into the fold. I don't know that OU fans are super thrilled about what's going on with that head coach. I know a couple, and both of them want him gone, and I'm not kidding you. I won't say his name. He does watch this show. He is a known Oklahoma fan, and he's a good friend of mine. Who knows? This is always going to be the conversation. Who you're going to get is going to be the conversation anytime you make a coaching change. The same thing was said when they fired Mike Anderson. I had so many people saying that to me. But, Ty, who are they going to get? I think they did pretty good there. I don't know. And I guarantee you, if Dave Van Horn ever retires, that's going to be the rhetoric too, even though we all know baseball's – I think if you believe that, you're not a baseball fan. You're not watching college baseball, because Arkansas should have their pick of the litter. And it'll probably be an internal hire if I had to guess, but – that's going to always be the conversation when you make a coaching change. And for Arkansas, you're always going to be up against it. So, next year, I see people in our own Discord, again, another mod, and some other folks claiming they see 9 wins on next year's schedule. I would love to know who those 9 teams are. Because given what we've seen in 2022 and what we've seen in 2023, I don't know that I see bowl eligibility on that schedule. Yeah, you don't play Alabama. Congrats. You don't have Georgia. But who you get? It looks like UAPB, and then you're at Boone Pickens Stadium in Stillwater, Oklahoma State. Say what you want about, I'm a man, I'm 40, come after me, Coach Gundy. Oklahoma State, they lost some head scratchers, but they certainly are very competitive with top with a 50 overall ranked high school recruiting. They never recruit well down in Stillwater, but you got to go there. And would you pick Arkansas over Oklahoma State right now? I don't know. I don't know that I don't think I would right now. We got a long ways to go. We got to see who they bring in as a coordinator. We got to see what they do in the portal. We got to see what part of the staff they retain. What Arkansas players you don't want to go into the portal end up in the portal. We got a long ways to go. But as of right now, to say that you see 9 wins, bro, what are you looking at? When how many times have you beaten A&M in 11 years? You just need one hand. You just need one hand. LSU is going to come to Fayetteville. You've got Ole Miss in Fayetteville with Jackson Dart. Looks like he's going to come back. Tennessee, would you take Tennessee over Arkansas right now? I think I probably would. But, again, we got a long ways to go. Texas, at Auburn, Hugh Freeze is 2-0 with 2 different teams against Sam Pittman. And then at Mississippi State and then at Missouri. Where the hell do you see 9 wins right now? I'm saying pump the brakes before we start predicting 9 wins. I'll pump the brakes on my 5 wins. We'll all pump the damn brakes. But we got to wait and see what they do on the offensive side of the ball. And I know a lot of you are like, it doesn't matter. What coordinator, who are you going to get as an offensive coordinator? Who wants to come to that? Do you think about it? You're going to be an offensive coordinator. You may only get 1 year here. That's going to make things really tough. That's going to make things really tough for a coordinator. Now, the narrative is that KJ could come back, and if that does happen, then you might be more attractive because KJ is very well respected amongst coaches. I don't know. This year, I would hope if they watch film, they don't watch this year's film if they're trying to determine whether or not they want to come here, assuming KJ stays, which I think is still on the table that he doesn't. And a lot of you are ready to move on, and I don't blame you. This year was not a great year for him. Again, I will absolutely, and I've said it for weeks that he has not been the old KJ, and I think a lot of it had to do with Enos and that system. We have seen him look pretty good. Yesterday it's not like he was bad. Overall he had 90 rushing yards, somewhat effective in the passing game, but he still overthrew a lot of targets. He had a lot of issues. It's not been a clean year for KJ. So I don't know how to feel about that situation. I don't even want to touch it with a 20-foot pole right now. Right now I'm on let's see what the hell they do for a coordinator, and let's see what they can do in the transfer portal and see if they can hang on to some high school recruits. Got to hit the portal big time on the O-line. We are lower half of the SEC already, and that's before yeah, you're not wrong, before OU and Texas. Yeah, it's only going to get tougher. It's only going to get tougher, that's for sure. John, I read what I read. I didn't see that what did you say that in another comment? John, we all know you know ball, okay? We all know you know ball. But you weren't the only one. I've certainly been in some group chats, folks saying the same thing. I don't know what we're looking at as far as wins right now. It's too early to project. Maybe some miracle will happen if half of the Mizzou team gets the flu. I wouldn't wish the flu on anybody, but well, maybe we would. Ty, basketball and baseball are both far better programs at Arkansas than football always have been. Oh, I agree. Yeah, in basketball, I don't think we should overreact too much to that loss, to Greensboro. They got Stanford coming up, and I wanted to talk about Stanford too here briefly. Tomorrow we're not going to do a live. Consider this the Monday after. It's the Monday after show on a Sunday. It's just going to be a crazy week. But you guys know I'm going to be live after every one of those tournament games. I don't know how we're going to handle Friday. Friday's going to be kind of crazy. We'll just have to do what we can with it. Let's see. Mizzou opened up as a 7-point favorite. Figured it'd be higher. I think that'll probably go up. Yeah, I agree. Oh, no, Ty, you got to be live tomorrow. Why? Am I missing something? Ty, unless we bring back Bryles, KJ will have a similar season next year. You could be right. I don't know. This year, I still believe he's one of my. Listen, man. I mean, he got 2 years. Well, 3 years. Sorry, 3 years in a game to break some records. You know, he was prolific with Kendall Bryles. He was a beast in the Kendall Bryles offense. I don't know what it is. There's something here that we're just not seeing with KJ, and I really don't know what it is. It has been. I mean, I know we could say that. Well, yeah, it was Enos, but even post Enos against, or even with Enos or without Enos against teams you thought they would perform better. And Auburn stands out, not a good football team. You saw what happened to them yesterday, right? That's not a good football team. There's something we're just not seeing. There's something we're missing behind the scenes. I don't know. I'm saying those programs are better to illustrate how we can get a muss or successfully replace DVH. Oh, yeah, no, I understand that. I see what you're saying. No, I get you. I get it. I know what you're talking about. We just need to see who has had experience with an option quarterback, maybe someone from Army or Georgia Tech. JV's Hangout says, like I said, KJ hasn't been the same quarterback since that Superman dive against A&M. I think it broke him. Yeah, but didn't you go back to the final drive of that game? And he looked, if you remember, he put you in position to win that game at the end. Where he went for 2+ quarters, I don't know. Liberty's undefeated. That they are, Gordon. You're not wrong. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. I do appreciate you. Stanford, really quick, since we're not doing a show, we're not going to do a pregame show for Stanford. I'm going to wait. At least I don't plan on it. That could change. But I have the basics here on Stanford. Again, did not expect to go live today, but you know what? This is perfect timing, actually, because this is going to allow me to spend a little bit more time with my kids and get some more stuff done. But right now, Stanford, again, it's way too early to start getting in too deep on numbers, but they score about 88 points a game, which is top 50. At this point in the season, that's not too bad. That's top 50. That's 43rd in the country in scoring. They're not an elite rebounding team. They average about 36 rebounds a game. They're tied at 242nd in the country there. 18 assists per game, which is really high. That's actually it's closer to 19 assists per game. They're tied for 27th in the country. So they've either got a couple of really good point guards or a combo guard and a point guard on the floor that move the ball around like crazy, or I don't know, maybe and they're giving up, and this is kind of the downside to Stanford. It looks like they're giving up close to 78 points a game. So they look to be a pretty active team on the offensive side of things. They're currently 3-1 with wins over CSU, Northridge, Sacramento State. I mean, they've scored at least 88 or more points in all 4 games. 88-79 over Northridge, 91-73 over Sacramento State, 89-77. Okay, no, I'm sorry. They didn't score. They scored 77 in their loss to Santa Clara. And then Eastern Washington, they won 95-70. So far, they've not played a team like Arkansas. They could be in for a shell shock. For at least when you talk about length and skill. Defensively, I don't know that much changes because this team defensively has not been the part for Arkansas. They have not looked the part. This has been not a good start for them, and for Eric Musselman in his time here, this is probably one of the worst defensive starts I can remember. But they'll be in the Imperial Arena down in the Bahamas to start this thing off. 2 3-1 team. Stanford kind of on the outside of the – I don't know where their placement is actually, but, we all know Arkansas at the moment is ranked 14th. That could change soon. Cheesecake has cake in the name, so oh, I see what you're referring to. Manny, Ty, is cheesecake really a pie? Manny, I don't know. Are you asking me? Is that a fat joke? I don't know. Huh? How about you stop using left lane hammer down in basketball references, Manny? Oh, wrong, Manny. Yes, KJ is a quitter, says Chris. Let's see. Trying to scroll up here. Wow. All right. Yep. Colorado replace Dion soon. KJ fueling up with the Skittles on sidelines is a bad situation as sugar rushes and sudden bottoming of levels has unpredictable effects on body and mental sharpness, says Mark Douglas. Is that like a scientific research? It certainly looks like one. Again, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. If you haven't already, consider joining Patreon. It goes a long ways, especially with the way YouTube has completely. I got my ad revenue quote in my I was looking at my ad revenue. Yeah, gonna push Patreon as much as I can. Not gonna lie. Oh yeah, they really want to put it on you. Hog fans have a good reason to drink today. You're not wrong, Addison. You're not wrong. They certainly deserve better. I thought this year was going to be far, far different, far better. It's crazy how much it's crashed and burned, but I mean, I guess now it's a wait and see game. It's a wait and see game from here on out. What they do with coordinator hires, what they do in the portal. Augusta got that dog in him. You're not wrong, Pigpen. God, he looked good. And I know it was against FIU, and I know we got to pump the brakes on that hype train as well with Augusta, but I love that get. I love that they went into Florida and got him. That was a great get. That is someone you're going to have to spend some NIL money on keeping. I mean, he was terrific yesterday, so good for him. He certainly did not look like a true freshman, and it also makes you, again, it's one of those situations where, like, why wasn't he getting carries? And Sam's response was simply that he was a freshman. Fair enough. I mean, listen, that is true. Like, there are, sometimes these guys just aren't ready. But, man, he ran for 14 carries, 101 yards, 7.2 yards per carry. And he was a big part of the reason why they really kind of turned things around offensively between him and KJ's runs. I mean, it does make you wonder, should he, when you were struggling badly in the run game, why didn't you give Augusta a shot? I don't know if someone said that he's actually burned his red shirt. He's played on special teams. So if that was the case, and that's the first I've heard of that, I don't know if that's the case. But if let's say that is the scenario, then why the hell wasn't he getting some carries when you were struggling? And yeah, the offensive line is bad. It doesn't matter who gets the ball. I understand that. But they also didn't look so great earlier in the year against Kent State. The offensive line, that is. So, and FIU is, they're a bad team, but how much worse are they than Kent State? So, why didn't Isaiah Augusta, he made it look pretty damn easy yesterday. It looked effortless for him. Running through arm tackles. Running through those tackles. Arkansas hasn't been able to do that this year. And if there was a situation up front where an offensive lineman missed a block, he ran right through the defender anyways. Dominic Johnson, 6 carries, 62 yards. Dominic, I think there has been a confidence issue there, but it was so good to see him. I'm so happy for him getting that touchdown, man. 10 yards a carry off 6 carries. That 31-yard touchdown run, good for him. That was awesome. KJ had 15 carries for 90 yards. Arkansas did run the ball really effectively. I'd love to see that carry into Missouri, but FIU is not Missouri. Not even in the multiverse is FIU anything like what Missouri is. Missouri is a very well-coached team. I'm a little bit surprised they struggled as much as they did against Florida. Johnson and Augusta could have been the right combo. Again, it's tough to say. Dominic, Dominic's been full go for a while, and yet, they moved him to tight end for a little bit briefly. I mean, again, for the second time in his career, the guy worked out with the tight ends, and it just didn't seem like I don't know. I think that's on Dom more than it is Jimmy Smith or Sam Pittman or Enos or Guyton. I think it's just a confidence situation with him. But I would like to see him, moving forward, maybe get a couple more carries. I just want to know what punishment people should have for putting pineapple on pizza. What's up, Nick? Why you got to hate on me, bro? Why? I feel attacked right now. I feel attacked, Nick. How could you, sir? How could you? Pineapple belongs on pizza, whether you want to admit it or not. And so does jalapenos, by the way. Sanders gives up too easily. I don't know. He's fighting with that. He's got fluid on the knee or whatever. I mean, he was dealing with an injury, and I could tell you he was at practice for a lot. Every time we'd walk in, he's over on the exercise bike, and he's getting work done. So I think he really was struggling with something going on with the knee. Someone drew comparisons between that and the Rakeem Boyd situation. I don't know. Nick Ehrman says, so predictable, another year, 4-8 on tap, and farther into irrelevance, which athletic department will, again, use as an excuse for making another lackluster hire. I heard that if you hit the like button, let's see, I heard if you hit the like button, Arkansas gets another $100,000 for NIL. There you go. Yeah, if you hit the like button, you get an NIL boost, $100,000. Actually, I've heard it's closer to $250,000 now. 47-7 next week, says Country Boy. Addison says Mina should also stop lying about boosters and alumni wanting Gus Malzahn to return under pressure against the AD when no occurrence ever took place. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there's certainly some belief, especially here in Springdale, that there's some folks that give money to the program that absolutely wanted Gus here. I don't know. I can't confirm that, but it has been reported. Darren McFadden was hurt, and he still played. Well, Gordon, you're kind of comparing apples and oranges. I mean, not all injuries are the same, my guy. I mean, I'm not going to doubt someone's toughness. Rocket, I don't know. I mean, I think he's a pretty tough dude. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why. If there's something more that we don't know about, so be it. But I'm not going to question someone's toughness. Fruit pizza. Okay, I got to go. P.S. Pineapple on pizza is blasphemous. How dare you, sir? How dare you? Rocket was great at 225, not at 242. And that's the other question too, man. Do they try and keep KJ and Rocket? How do fans feel about that? I know there's plenty of people that they want to move on. They want something new and different. And it's hard to blame them given what we saw in 2023. It really is. So we'll just have to wait and see. Arkansas and Stanford coming up on Wednesday. This will be an interesting matchup. Stanford is they look pretty active on offense. I mean, again, not that we've done a whole bunch we may still go live on Wednesday. We may do a Wednesday opener, but again, I'm going to be here for Stanford, either Memphis or Michigan. I'm going to be here for November 24th. Of course, we've got football, so there's a lot of live shows planned for this week. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you know for a fact that when I'm live, because if you don't, apparently it's kind of hit or miss whether or not you get an actual notification. John Haas says pineapple on pizza is a perfect combination because the sweet of the pineapple contains or counters the salt of the mozzarella. You bunch of uncultured chicken tender ordering. Oh, you called them uncultured chicken tender ordering freaks. That is not fair. What is wrong with Tendies? What's wrong with some chicken tendies? Man, jalapenos and pineapple are great on pizza. There you go, Tercer. You nailed it. That's how we're going to end it. I'm going to tag that right there. There's the tag. Well, it won't let me tag it. Why aren't you letting me tag the comment? There we go. I think that was the right. There we go. Jalapenos and pineapple are great on pizza. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already on your way out. I appreciate you. Please consider joining Patreon. It helps the channel out a ton. And yeah, I'll see you guys at some point this week. Maybe not tomorrow or the day after, but maybe Wednesday. But just again, make sure you hit the notification bell. That way you know for sure. I'll try to keep you guys up to date. You know you can always find me in Discord as well. DMs are always open. I'll see you guys later on in the week. Have a good rest of your couple of days here, all right? Okay, we're done. We're done.